Hey guys, Coolbrick here with another video. This is a tutorial on the rally car MOC that I did a video on recently. Somebody asked for a tutorial, so I'm going to show you guys how to build one of your own. So yeah, let's get right into it. Alright, so I partially disassembled the rally car into a bunch of understandable bits, and I'll just show you guys how to put the thing together. So as you can see, I started using a normal dark bluish gray car chassis, and I used two sets of axles of the type with the inset, as you can see, and on the rear axle I put a 2x2 plate, which doesn't really matter what color it is, on top of it, and then I attached to the chassis. And for the front axles, you just put the axle directly on. There's no 2x2 plate. So as you can see, now we have the forward rake to the vehicle. You're going to need 4 of these normal fender pieces, and of course you can make the car whatever color you like. I chose it to be octane themed, so I went with white, green, and red. But you guys can really choose your own colors. You're just going to want a primary color for the body of the car, so the fenders and everything. So the white would be the primary, and then you're going to need, you'll probably want a couple secondary colors. As you can see, I have some red and green for the octane, but you guys can, of course, color it up however you like, or you can just leave everything in the solid color. All up to you. I'm just going to show how to build the vehicle. So, like I was saying, I already showed the axles. You'll want to use these types of wheels, just because they look better. I mean, you can use the other type that usually comes with Lego City says the more knobbly looking wheels, but those will work too. But I prefer these types, and you guys will probably prefer these as well. And the other thing you gotta do is you're gonna put a 2x4 plate right in there, and make sure it's not a Technic plate, because to get those plates out, you will stick an axle through there in case you ever want to take it out. But if you use a Technic plate, then you're gonna have holes in there, and putting an axle through there is not gonna get that plate out. So just be careful with what you're doing. And I think that's it for the actual chassis section. Now another quick thing to do the exhausts. You're just going to take a 1x2 plate in the primary color and put it on top of one of these elements. And you're just going to stick that to the last section in the back of the chassis. And we're going to put this aside. Next thing we're going to look at is the fenders, or the sides anyway. I'm going to put this other fender on there. So we're going to look at this section right here. So this is done in with a few different parts, or types of parts. So you're going to need one of these 1x6 pieces that, they always use these on the Lego cars. I don't know what the name of them, but it's a modified 1x6 plate. And then you're going to put either a 1x4 in here, or if you want to do the secondary and tertiary colors, you can put those in there. And then put one of these 1x4 panels on top of that. And then, so what you're going to do then is take one of these modified 1x1 plates and put a cheese slope in that fashion on it. And then you're going to take a 1x2 plate and put a cheese slope in that fashion on it. Then you're going to attach them so that it looks like this. And for the other side, you're going to mirror this. No pun intended, because we're building the mirror right now. And then you're going to attach that in this position, just like that. Then for the back, you're going to take one of these modified tiles that has a stud on each end, 1x4. You can either put a 1x4 plate under here, or you can do the two 1x2s like I did, and then put a 1x1 tile on top of one of the studs, and that part of the assembly, the part with the tile, is going to be the part that attaches right there. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your chassis, and with this side being the front, you're going to attach this. And these should just sit right on top of the fender flares, or the fender pieces. Now, before we actually put this on, we actually have to do the rear bumper first, because as you can see, the plates are going to go on top of that. So I should show that first before we put those on. So for the back, the way I did the back was, if I can get this apart, there we go. Just very simple. You'll probably want to have a white, one of these vehicle front fascia and rear fascia pieces. You want a white one, but I didn't have any white ones, so I had to use dark bluish gray. Take a 1x1 plate and then put one of these trans red 1x1 round tiles on it. And the same thing for the other side. Then 1x2 plate, 1x2 tile that just goes right on top of there. And then you can take a 1x2 or two 1x1 cheese slopes, put it on like that. Then you're going to take one of these curved slope elements and one of these 1x2 modified plates, and this is going to attach like this with the little lip facing downwards, and that's going to be your rear fascia, and that's just going to attach onto the last two studs of the chassis, and that will fit nicely over your exhaust tips. And now we can put the side on like so, and I have the other assembly right here. Attach this, there we go. And there's not going to be any seats or steering wheel in here. You'll see how the steering wheel goes in a bit. So the next section will be the front fascia, which is this. And the way that I built this, you're gonna have to be a little gentle when you're making this, because it's a little bit fragile. So you're gonna take a 1x1 plate and cheese slope and put them on like so. And then you're gonna take those small tooth pieces, and because they have a bar end, you're gonna stick them into the open studs of the front fascia piece in that way. And you're gonna take another one of those 1x2 modified plates and a 1x2 grill, and you're gonna put it on like this with the lip facing down. Then what we're gonna do is just put that right on here. And then we're going to take one of these elements, and if you don't have one of these, it's okay, because you can't really see it too well on the MOC anyway. So yeah, but if you do have one, then you can take it and just put it on right there on the last section of the chassis on the underside, and it should look like this. And what you're going to do is take a thin Technic beam 1x4, and on the two anti-studs you're going to put two trans-clear studs, and then those axle receptors will go on top of the horns. And make sure your horns are both turned upwards in the same direction, because that's what the Technic beam is going to go onto. So you'll just push that on. You don't need to push super hard. It stays on. But yeah, you want to be careful because the horns can fall off kind of easily. So now we have the light bar on there. So the next thing we're going to do is the front, or the hood, and this is from the Octane race car set. I'll put the set number in the description below. But this part, these stickers, all the stickers I used on my MOC are from that set, and this one on here is actually applied in the set, but this one I applied that to this element myself. That was not something in the instructions. I don't even know if that part was included in the instructions, but anyway, this whole piece with the sticker was something in the set. I'm gonna take two studs, put them on down there for engine detail, and then two 1x2 plates. You're gonna put that on right here in the middle, and it should hang over the grill just a little bit. Then what we're gonna do is take one of these pieces, one of these cheese slope 1x2 plate sort of things, and take a trans-clear cheese slope, put it like that. And then that's just going to sit right there, so that looks like the flip lights. And then same thing on the other side. And before I show how the roof works, your minifigure unfortunately cannot be wearing a helmet unless you want them to lean back. But if you want there to be two figures in the car, then you can only have one of them be wearing anything on their head. the driver can't be. So what I did was I just took one of these minifig handgun pieces and put it into a steering wheel, and I put the steering wheel into his hand in this kind of fashion. So you'll want to kind of have it like that, so that the handle will be going right down to where his foot is. And so you'll just want to put it like this, and then you're going to put him right there. And the steering wheel should fit in there, just barely. So you can see there's just barely room for everything. And then you can take a second person if you want and put their hands like this and their arms like that. Otherwise it won't fit. And you're going to put them in the second slot right behind him. And if you just push them in there, they actually will sit down onto the studs and will stay put. So you do have room for 2 figures, which is great. And then for the front, the way we do this is just take 2 of these elements, and you're going to put a 1x1 plate like so, and do that on each side. And so you should have this little space in the middle. And then you're going to take one of these windshield pieces. And please take careful note of how long this windshield piece is and where the stud is on the roof, because the rear windshield is actually a different piece. You can see the stud is in the second spot. It's in the middle of the windshield rather than at the end. So make sure you have one of each of these types of windshields. Otherwise, it's going to look a little bit different and the build is just not going to work. So for the front windshield, if you just get the steering wheel and things down in there, then the windshield should fit over everything, including the minifigure's head. If we lean him back, see, I didn't lean him back quite far enough. He needs to lean back slightly more so that these elements will fit. And he's still not quite far enough back, but in theory, this should work. Of course, it's going to take finagling to get both figures to stay in. For our purposes, I'll just remove the rear figure so that he can lean back and we can actually get this to work. So sorry about that. So as you can see, the roof is not exactly the most stable thing ever. As with most of my MOCs, it's kind of fragile. Then for the rear windshield, you're just going to take one of those windshields I mentioned earlier. This sticker comes pre-applied in the set I mentioned earlier, so that will already be applied to this piece if you're using that set. And then you just take 2 1x1 bricks, place them like so, and then this should fit right there, like that. If we focus, there we go. And there you have it. Yep. So, yeah, this is the rally car. And I apologize for this taking such a long time, and you can post any questions that you had down in the comments below in case you do have any. And as always, thanks a whole lot for watching, and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.